Hello and welcome, my friends, to a very special edition of Moments of Consequence. I've got my buddy Jake. He is all the way out in Denmark, sitting with the one and only Balder. How are you guys doing?
We're doing excellent. Thank you very much. We are in the middle of a very intense battle.
Ooh, who is playing right now? What armies?
Uh, Balder, I'm playing Britannia against Jake, and that would be the first time Jake faces Britannia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, yeah, that's something we've talked about a little bit in the past. Is that our metas and like our perceptions of the game is really shaped by the armies and the players that we have around each other. So that's very awesome that you guys are getting a chance to experience new armies and new battles in different places. So that's awesome. Jake, how has the trip been so far? We've been following along on your Facebook page, and the pictures have been amazing. You guys look like you're having so much fun. So if you just tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, Balder's been a very gracious host. It's been really awesome to be in a new place and, um, play some battles. He treated us to a quite characterful battle with Forenrond, the day we arrived.
High elves.
High elves,
5,000 points.
Forenrond, 5,000 point army, Teclis, Tyrion, Eltharion, and Forenrond, all on the field using the most brilliant tactics imaginable.
Well, the idea is there's someone out there who does not know Forenrond. Forenrond was a character who appears in Warhammer 3rd edition in the scenario at the back of the book. And he's a very, very poor commander. And actually, it's called Forenrond's Last Stand. And it begins with him being hit in the eye with an arrow and dies. So now you take command, but it's too late because your high elf army is surrounded by orcs and goblins on all four sides. Now, good luck. Yeah, and your arm is split by stream. Yes, it's really, really a bad position. It's a wonderful scenario. So I made the magic sword for Warhammer Renaissance, which the two of you know, which is called Forenrond's Sword. And if you take that, I mean, this is the best sword in the game. It really kicks ass, and he did kick ass. But he has to be the commander, and you lose scouting ability, you lose vanguard ability, you automatically lose first turn, the enemy get to choose terrain. I mean,
and you deploy first,
yeah,
and the enemy deploys second,
yeah,
knowing that they have first.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I made a 5,000 point high elf army because I thought there'll be two of them. They'll bring each a 2,500 point army. And there will be no more players on Wednesday night. So I thought, why not go for the big battle and just to make things go faster, so we shouldn't make deployment maps and stuff like that. I thought, hell, I take Forenrond's Sword. And saying that all these other special characters, Tyrion, Teclis, Eltharion, they are famed generals and they have leadership 10 each of them. But Forenrond is just an ordinary hero with leadership 9, and he's the general. Normally it's not allowed, but the sword makes it possible.
I think lore-wise, there would be no chance that those three mighty and esteemed heroes would ever listen to poor old Forenrod. But
you don't understand the chain of command in high elf society. It is your bloodline, its nobility matters, and Forenrond is out of a line of very noble princes.
Ooh, okay. I did not know that lore. That's cool. That's awesome.
I just made it up.
Well, that's a perfect segue. That's this game. We've all read. If you're probably listening to this video, you've probably followed along with the books and read the editions, and you've wrote a great deal about why you've created this game, your background to this game, kind of the essence of how the game is supposed to be and what your visions of it are. And so we won't get into that stuff because I feel like you wrote that very, very well, and you had covered that in the main rule book. But there are some other questions I had for it. What are your thoughts on where the game is at? I believe this is your 4th edition. Correct me if my historian in me is incorrect, but I believe that you created a 2020 edition and then a 21, 22, and this is now 2023. This would be the 4th edition that you have come out with, and the changes that you have made in each edition have gone down there's been less and less changes as you've refined the game to your vision, which we can't thank you enough. From all of my friends, that they wanted to make sure that I shouted all of them out and said thank you for making this awesome rule set. But what are some of your where are you at on the production cycle? How many more additions do you foresee? How close do you think this game might be to a finished product?
Well, first of all, you're very welcome. It is 99% finished, and it will stay 99% finished. So that I'll always have small bugs to fix. Personally, I'm thinking about improving a bit on the orcs and goblins. And this will just to make more clarity about fanatics, and perhaps I thought about this wyvern. When your shaman lord rides a wyvern, if he flies away from the other orcs and goblins, he cannot cast spells. So who would ever do that? And there's such a great model. So I thought, what about if the wyvern would be able to create warg magic in the same way as a goblin or orc regiment? So this is what I'm pondering on at the moment. New army books? Well, maybe. Maybe someone would like to make a new army book. It wouldn't be me, but if someone thought, I want this to appear in the game, it's fine with me. We are contemplating the SOT. They cannot have an army book, but they will be an add-on on Werewolf. I haven't really had the time to dig into it, but I can promise that they will appear in some form or another, at least in the 2024 edition.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and Zotes are difficult to acquire. I just got done purchasing a 1991 Chaos Knights regiment, and man, that was really tough to find at a good price point. I can't even imagine Zotes. There might have to be a little 3D printing. I was curious. That's one of my questions. What are your thoughts on 3D printing versus the Kev Adams and the Juan Diaz miniatures? I don't have access to a 3D printer. I would love to have access to one for things like Zotes. That would be awesome, but I don't have one. Have you 3D printed any of your miniatures?
No, I don't have any. I'm a metal guy. I'm an old school guy.
There you go. Yeah. I figured that would be the answer, but I just had to ask. So what is you might have already, that might be the Zotes, but is there anything that you, other than the Wyvern or the Zotes, is there anything else that you were like, man, that's kind of out there and maybe not all the way Warhammer Renaissance, or it's 80 or 90% Warhammer Renaissance? Are there any other miniatures or unit entries to other books that you're like contemplating on adding?
Well, as far as I can see, the only kind of units that's not in the game are this stuff that appeared in 7 and 8 edition. And as a rule of thumb, I'm not going to add any of it. Now, if there are some players, and sometimes there are, that has a model from 7 or 8 edition, which they really love, and they can show it to me on the Facebook side, and it's painted and it looks good, and they say, oh, I want to play with it. I always say, oh, make up the rules and we'll put it in the rule book. It might just be an optional rule, so you have to agree with your friends, but we can put the rules in it. When you're talking about Zotes, I think I know only of 2 people who have Zotes, and I know only of 1 person who have a regiment of Zotes. So I'm making it for him specifically. And then I don't know if there exist any more people who actually have these miniatures. But I cannot think of any. Can you think of any?
I really can't, especially, so my history with the game is 6th, 7th, 8th. So there's a couple of like undead units. There's a couple of Empire units that like Demigryph Knights for the Empire, Vargholfs, Vargheists for the undead. But please don't give the undead any terror-causing big monsters. They're already a pain to deal with. They're already very, very difficult. I don't need them becoming any more powerful or difficult. But yeah, I really can't think of any of the old school miniatures. And plus, that's not really the era of which that I played. So your knowledge of the units and the characters and the unit entries would be way more vast than mine would be. So I'm not sure what I would add.
Yeah, but the units you mentioned, if anyone wants them, and no one had really asked for them so far. If anyone wants them, please make a rule set for it and send it to me, and I'll contemplate it, and then I'll probably put it in the army book as a unofficial edition. Like there were some people who wanted to have these dwarf slayer berserker types. I don't even remember what they're called. But there's something from either 8th edition or that other skirmish game they made, and which I don't remember what it's called.
But something like the axes on the chains.
Yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, new stuff, and it's fine. It's fine. I'm not against new stuff, and if new stuff makes you happy, it's fine. So I added it, but in the Dwarf Army book you can find it if you look up Slayers, but it's specifically only with prior agreement by your opponent that you can use it.
Yeah, and you've also done that for the Hell Cannon, which is a very it's a great example in the Chaos Warriors book. There is a Hell Cannon entry, but it is very much like an optional, really designed for siege battles. My friends have let me bring it when I was kind of fledgling in my quest to be a good general. They were like, yeah, you can bring the Hell Cannon if that helps you. And most of the time it would just eat its crew, turn around and charge into either my rear or my flank. So I just stopped bringing it. And not only was it,
they kept letting you bring it.
exactly. It would just turn around, eat its crew, and then random movement into the nearest unit, which was always in my battle line. And yeah, that happened about twice before I was like, you know what, guys, I'm not going to sabotage my own game before I even get started. So eventually that all went away. So you do have examples of that in the books, and I love that you keep that option available to not only yourself, but then you can also kind of keep the true spirit of Warhammer Renaissance kind of over here to the left. And then you can also add in some of these supplemental pieces and units that your player base, however big or small, is asking for. I think that this is the greatest edition of Warhammer that I've ever played. I think it's the most balanced. We love that you get to be a independent arbiter of the rules. I really can't state that enough, how important that is for. I know they're just little miniatures and we're playing a simulation game, but we're very competitive, and we love to win, and we like to make very strong lists that have cool interactions. And so being able to just simply turn around and ask you instead of arguing amongst our friends, which is all in good fun, but like, yeah, there's sometimes we will have little arguments and disagreements, but to be able to flip that question to you has just been an invaluable resource. What edition, if you could not play Warhammer Renaissance, what edition would you play? Which one? What number?
Oh, this is a really difficult one. The edition that was best in game terms, that simply worked best and had the most balanced game, and which I played a lot of battle with, that would be 6th edition. 6th edition is the best edition. But 4th edition was the most fun edition. So that's why I created Warhammer Renaissance, because I could not choose between the two. But I think I'll give you another edition as the answer. I would like to try out the 2nd edition.
Really? Okay. Why is that?
First edition, where Warhammer becomes Warhammer, where it's placed in the Warhammer world, where they invent all the races and all the background that has become Warhammer. And at that time, it was more like it was half a role-playing game and half a mass combat battle. And there's this wonderful scenario in 2nd edition, the Magnificent Sven. And the name, the Magnificent Sven, is referring to a steamboat. So our protagonists are some sorts of heroes or cutthroats who are they're hungover, and they are hired to go upriver on the steamboat, which is piloted by Sven Hasselstein. Do you know Sven Hasselstein?
I do not. No, this is I am just like eating candy. I'm just sitting here listening to this awesome story. Continue. I do not know who this person is.
I think you know Sven Hasselstein, but you have forgotten.
Ooh.
He is mentioned in the Dwarf Army Book 4th edition, where he was the associate of Bullock Damnison, the chief engineer among the dwarfs. Then, when Bullock he was young, he was very experimental, and his compatriot that was Sven Hasselstein, and they made inventions which the guild did not approve of, and he was eventually expelled, and he had to suffer the wet trousers ritual. It's not really mentioned what it's about, but as a consequence, he immigrated to Lustria, and that's where we meet him in this game. And they sail down with the steamboat. They have to fight some renegade slang, and back in second edition, there was really a huge focus on Lustria. There were Amazons, and there were these pygmies, and there were the Slan, and there were all kinds of races. In particular, there were many Norse people in Lustria, and in this scenario, there is on the one side, all the participants have names, all the participants have special rules and background story. So I think this is simply so awesome. I need to do something like that one day.
Absolutely. Just sitting here listening to you tell these lore stories. I mean, I could do this all day. Like, this is right up my wheelhouse. Like, I love listening to all the different backgrounds and lores. And again, those are from a from an edition and from a time period that I didn't really was not around Warhammer.
Me neither.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I've got to double down and try to up my lore game so that I can know some more of these characters. And there's just so much Warhammer lore out there. I've got to be better. Got to go read more. Just a few more questions, and then I will let you guys get back to your glorious battle that you guys have going on.
It's only glorious for one of us right now.
Oh no! I by how you said that, I feel like I is Baldur.
You can picture the Bretonnian knights running down orcs and goblins.
I just have to ask, are the Bretonnians obviously fully painted, but are they on all their decadence? Are they all the different colors and stuff that Bretonnia is known for?
Oh yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, they're very colorful, and the peasants look extremely dirty, and smelly.
No Bretonnian knight with self-respect would ever show up in the same garments as his peers. He would try to outdo them. Definitely.
That is so true.
And fashion changes so fast. So
changes overnight in Bretonnia.
Yeah.
I think if an army that has always intimidated me from like just a hobbying perspective and a painting perspective has got to be the Bretonnians. I mean, there's so many like undead or even lizardmen. I kind of cheated a little bit with priming base coats of their base colors. So I primed a lot of blues and a lot of reds. But really with Bretonnia, you have to just be a top-notch painter to really get that vibe across, and I'm very, very jealous. I would never have ever played against a Bretonnian army, and I would love to throw the pieces down against a Bretonnian army one day. So very cool. So here's my question to you, Baldur.
Just for the record, well, I'm not a very good painter. So the beautiful models, the beautiful knights, they're painted by someone better than me. I have some ordinary knights and the peasants and the foot knights. I did them, and it took a hell lot of time. I'm satisfied with the result, but if you consider how much time I spent on it, you will realize how bad a painter I am.
I feel the exact same way. I produce very, to me, okay things, but it takes me a long time to do it. So I feel like at the end of it, I'm like, yay, it's done. But that really took a lot of time to kind of get to a mess. So I can definitely relate. So my last question I have for you, and I can just swing this around to all three of us. Give me your Baldur, we'll start with you. Go ahead and give me your favorite army to either see commanded, just your favorite army, and then a favorite unit entry. It can be a character, it can be a unit, it can be a monster. It can be anything you want, but give me your favorite one of each.
This is the most impossible,
That's
impossible question ever. Well, nevertheless, I'm not in doubt. It's the Empire.
mhm.
The Empire is, I mean, it's the mightiest nation of all in well, not just the old world, but probably the whole world. Without the Empire, the world would fall apart. And when I talk about the Empire army, I am hinting at the Perry twins Empire army, the one that appeared in White Dwarf 146, 47, and 48, and which the first Empire army book, which was the first army book ever, is modeled upon. The one where each unit would be painted in a different scheme according to which province it would come from. And if I had to pick a certain unit that would be my favorite, it would just be the ordinary state troopers. Ordinary state troopers, but painted in very bright colors. Yeah, that's important.
Very important. They perform well the more colorful they are. They stab a little harder.
Definitely.
Jake, what about you?
Well, I'm gonna spin the question a little bit to say what my favorite new army experience is, because I actually got to use the Norse against the High Elves against Fornrond, which was very cool. So of course I'm in Denmark, so I've seen Viking stuff at the museums and got to sort of top that education off with getting to use the Norse army. So very excited to try them out, and I would say in the Norse army, my favorite unit was the champion, the special champion, the Ulfhendar, who are the berserkers with they're frenzied and they have regeneration, and they are nasty. I kind of fed a bunch of them to Fornrond because basically they were keeping my general alive by keeping Fornrond tied up, and I think one of them actually killed something. It wasn't Fornrond, but anyway, they were pretty awesome. Just these crazed champions with 5 strength, 5 attacks, and regen. So
yeah, if we should sum up the battle we played on Wednesday, the huge battle, it would be like totally chaos on the High Elf side, where there was no strategy or plan, or they were completely outmatched. Anyway, Fornrond was, but he thought that things were doing really good, and eventually he came into combat and he killed everyone. And then his bodyguard was cut down and he himself was run down. But until that very last moment, he thought he was winning.
Yeah, he was like a three or four challenges in a row and just slew opponent after opponent.
And he felt happy.
So he was thinking, we're winning the battle.
Tyrion and the Dragon Princess had deserted him. He had not seen the
Teclis getting killed.
Yeah, maybe he saw that, but he didn't see the silver helms running off. All the others simply went. We go home. We make a strategic retreat to previously planned position, as Rick Priestley put it once.
Yeah. But the other thing is Fornrond had the golden helm of Atrazar, which is why he wasn't going down. So he had a 3+ ward save.
Best defensive magic item in the game, but it costs now 100 points and is high elf only.
3+ ward save is very, very good. Yeah, that's awesome. My favorite army and unit are fairly one and the same. So my favorite army is my Lizardmen. They were my army that I've collected for 20 years now. I have models of all editions. I have a lot of the monopose archers all the way up to the newer Saurus warriors with shields, and I even have the old Saurus warriors with the shield and the little scythe or sickle that they were holding. So I've got many different Lizardmen over many different generations. I was very excited to see in 22, I believe, in the 2022 rules, you separated the Slan and the Lizardmen. I did not know up until that point that you could bring the Slan techno devices. I think you might have said they were Slan only, but you kind of mentioned it in one of the posts. I was like, oh man, have I been missing out on an item, like a whole section of items to bring to it with my Slans? Because they're very, very good. Like they've got like things like a blaster and an anti-teleportation device and all that good stuff. But my favorite unit would definitely be the Slan Mage priests. I love them. I love modeling them. I just bought another one. I'm gonna have 4 for no reason. I'll never bring 4. I'll never bring 4, but I have them. I love them. They're my toads. They're my guys.
It will interest you to know that I'm actually in possession of a Slan army. I also have a Lizardman army somewhere, which I'll unpack and finish someday. But I have a Slan army, yet unpainted. It's not the original Slan miniatures. It's the new Kevin Adams miniatures, which you can purchase at the Little Soldier Company. I think they're great, and it is my dream one day to field them, because I think the Slan and the original background story about the Slan is really cool. Actually, the Lizardman army book for that came in 5th edition is actually also very cool. Its background, all the stories, the stuff, I absolutely love it.
I am looking over my shoulder and looking at that book right now. I love it as well. Yes, absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much. Baldur, I appreciate everything that you do for us. I appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions and quelling the goblins over here that are just suffering from animosity as we debate rules and your interpretations of them. And we love our favorite answers when we have rule questions. Our favorite answers that you give are the one-worders where you're just like, my buddy Nick will ask this elaborate question: can so and so do this? Does this interaction work together? And you simply just say, no, it does not. And then like it's just like perfect. We put that to bed. We write it down in this little sheet we have that we keep of all of the different FAQ questions. We just write it down in our little Word document to kind of keep this running list of questions we've asked and that you've answered. So we cannot thank you enough for that, Baldur. We really, really appreciate you doing that. Thank you also for giving us the official blessing. That post was awesome, and it drove a bunch of people to our YouTube channel. So thank you for that. And then finally, I am friends with you on Facebook, and I will not get into the particulars of some of the things that you fight for and talk about, but I have watched with great interest. I am also an educator. It's interesting, actually, all 3 of us are educators. I teach at the high school here in the United States at a local high school, and both of you are teach at a higher education, but I just really appreciate your work that you do for that stuff.
I have been teaching at university level, but currently I'm a high school teacher, just as you.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought you were still at the university based on some of your posts, but that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate all the work you do for education and stuff. I've followed some of your stuff. I have to hit the C translation button because I can't. Most of your posts are in Danish, but I do enjoy it. And again, thank you for everything. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're most welcome.